Welcome back to another episode of It Can Be Done, but Not by Everyone. Last time we talked about shifting from an employee mindset to truly owning your role. Today we're moving from mindset into action because nothing builds belief like that first win, whether it's booking an appointment, giving a strong presentation, or closing your first policy. So Garfield, why are those early wins so important for new agents?
I would say it helps to build momentum, and you need momentum early. And one of the things that's really driving it is biology. There are chemicals that get released,
Right.
and the one that is important for this particular subject is dopamine. It's the reward, feel
Right,
good.
right.
And when you feel good, the brain will want you to do that thing that caused that feeling. So if you can get that early win, it causes that feeling to then push you to repeat
Right.
it. And the more you repeat,
Yep.
the better you'll get at it. So that's why it's important.
Yeah. When you are looking at new agents who are starting out, for you, what do you believe are the core skills that they should be focusing on developing first?
I think it's all about communication. And I say that because it is fundamental to this industry. You need to speak to people.
Right.
And it's not just about speaking, but it's knowing how to communicate, because speaking is one.
Right.
There's also listening. There's also engaging through body language.
Right.
And understanding how to do it is one thing, but knowing how to do it is the other thing. And you only get to know how to do something when you do it. You practice it,
Right.
you do it over and over.
Right.
You know, a lot of agents will leverage scripts. And scripts may be provided by experienced agents, and each person will have their script that works.
Right.
And if you look at a veteran who's been doing this for years and is seasoned, and they go through their script, and if you are now new and they've given you that same script,
Yeah.
do you think you can be as effective as that seasoned agent? And the answer is no,
Right.
because you haven't gone through the steps of rehearsing, practicing, to then get to a point where that script is now yours and you can communicate it accordingly.
Right. I want to really start to dive in and start with kind of two key skills, prospecting and booking. These are often the toughest to master early on. What really helps agents push through that hesitation and, like you were saying, build momentum? Maybe you could also touch on a tool like Trafnax Practice and how that would be really key for agents at that point.
So prospecting, generating leads, and then booking appointments from those leads are important, because this industry is driven by leads. You need to have individuals who are interested in life insurance in order to offer your services to them. And that booking appointment is one of the steps to engage with that client. But if you do not have the skills in order to do it, because that client lead doesn't really know you, so automatically, again, going to biology, the brain, it wants to protect. So you call this person and immediately they are in somewhat of a defensive mode, trying to figure out who you are. So it's about creating some sense of trust and familiarity with this person. So one of the things that I would say is, for individuals who really want to pursue this, is start with your warm market. Start with those who have some sense of familiarity with, and also some level of trust. Because when you start engaging with client leads or clients who you don't know, that's additional layer of complexity that you haven't become proficient at as yet. So start a bit easier with those who you know and practice with them.
Right.
You can get a script and practice that script with your warm market. You may end up selling a policy or two, which would be great wins.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I would offer.
Yeah, seems like a great place to start. Specifically, when you're talking about, booking, what separates agents who consistently are filling their schedule from those who might be struggling?
It's confidence, but it comes back to skills. And the unfortunate thing I will say is because there isn't much clarity for some of these agents coming in about what it entails, what it requires, there's no shortcut to developing the skill, the requisite skill, the skill of communicating, speaking to, understanding products and offerings from different carriers is important. But up front, before you can get to that, it's the skills. And once you develop the skill, you now know how to do something. And because the brain will interpret that as no longer fearful, automatically you will now have that sense of confidence where you can go out and make those calls regardless of what the end result will be.
Right.
You know how to communicate to the client leads.
Yeah, so once, agents are then in front of clients, it's about presenting and closing. What's the most important thing a new agent should remember during those first conversations?
I'm going to go back and I'll touch on what they should, focus on. Those. If you haven't done the work, and the work is the practice to become proficient, it's going to be very challenging for you to have success having a prospective client believe you, trust you, to give you the opportunity to protect the family. Right? Sorry, the question again. Just pose the question again, please.
Right, so last question. Once agents are, in front of clients, it's about presenting, it's about closing. What's the most important thing that a new agent should remember during those, first conversations?
Yes, appreciate that. They're speaking to someone, most likely, when they've been in the industry for some time. They're likely speaking to someone who they're not familiar with, who isn't familiar with them,
right?
Doesn't trust them. So they will need to make sure that they focus on those two things, create some sense of familiarity, or as well as a level of trust. Because if you don't get by those two factors, it becomes very difficult for that person who you're speaking to give you time to be, for them to be willing to have some policy written for them by you. So that's what I would say, the trust and the familiarity. And when I say familiarity, it's helping to connect them with the reason why you called. And it's typically because they have done something. They've reached out, they've filled out a form, they've initiated some interest. So you have to use that to connect back with them. And then from that, build some level of trust so that you can then move forward. You had asked a question, or you had mentioned a solution, Trafnax.
Yes.
And I want to go back to that because I did not, explain. And for me, we've been talking about skills development, and I mentioned communication. And there is absolutely no shortcuts. Let me rephrase that. You have to put in the time. It is biology.
Yes.
The more you do something, the brain after some time will learn from it and it will become automatic. and you will no longer have to think about it
Right.
to do it.
Yep.
I'll come back to Trafnax. I'll give the example. When you were a child, you learned how to tie your shoe,
Right.
right? And it was very challenging.
Yes.
You had to put one lace
Yep.
over another, go through the loop, and do this, and the first months of doing it, the way you tied your laces
Right.
were not always
Right.
good.
Frustrating, difficult.
Now you can tie your laces without even your eyes being open.
Right.
And I will even argue to say that there are times you'll probably tie your laces where you're not even thinking about it. You're all thinking about something else.
Yes.
It's because the brain has been programmed through the repetitive motion of that to now be automatic. It's able to do it better and faster than you thinking through it, the steps, right? So I go back to saying there's no easy way. You have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to, go through whatever scripts you are. And Trafnax is a tool that we've developed that simulates an agent calling a client lead, and going through a conversation as if they were booking an appointment or they were actually going through with an appointment itself to close on a policy.
Right.
And at the end of the conversation, it gives them feedback
Wow.
feedback on how they did,
Yeah.
areas they can improve, areas that they did well in on.
Wow.
So that's Trafnax, and it is a way for agents in a very comfortable, safe environment. They can practice, and over time, get to some level of proficiency much faster than the current way without having the ability. So think of it like in the baseball space or baseball analogy, a batting cage, right? Kids, after practice with their team, they typically go to the batting cage, drop a couple of dollars in and rip and rip and rip. What's also important though is to have that guidance, someone who's there to point out some of the areas that you may not be doing well, to then adjust so that you get proficient much faster than trying to fix it on your own.
Right.
And Trafnax, at the end of the conversation, whether it is you making that simulated call or even uploading a recorded call that you had, it gives you the feedback immediately.
Very interesting. So, and that's specifically Trafnax Practice, correct?
Trafnax Practice,
yes.
And then there's another module within Trafnax called Review that allows you to upload recorded calls, and it gives you that feedback.
And with Trafnax, is it a specific, skill? Is it booking an appointment right now? Is it closing?
It is right now. It is booking appointments. I actually had a conversation with the team today, and we are expanding it to one call close as well as the second step, which is the actual appointment itself. So 3 different scenarios: booking appointment, the appointment itself, and then one call close.
Right. So closing. Speaking of closing, I think that for a lot of agents, that's where maybe the nerves might start to kick in a little bit. What do you think might help agents build confidence, in that moment, talking to that potential client, asking them for business?
I would say competence. And competence brings confidence. And for someone to become competent, you have to put in the work. It's really and truly about the skills. And I go back to communication. And once you have done that work, and which is why I'm saying there's no shortcutting it, right? It will take time. And once you put in that work and you now have, gained some level of competence, that confidence will certainly increase, and naturally you will be in positions where that fearful nervousness will diminish. may never go away, but it will definitely diminish. So
Yeah.
I say you just need to become competent,
Yeah.
and you need to put in the work to get to that level.
You've said before, and I think that becomes a theme of a lot of, the conversation about skills and how skills create confidence. Why is that such an important lesson for new agents?
I think their expectations are not set properly, and those who may be recruiting them aren't helping them to understand what's really required. A lot of the individuals who come into the industry do not have formal sales background training.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I gave the example earlier, just because you have the tools to do something doesn't mean that you will be good at that thing.
Right.
Right? If we have two sets, same sets of paints and paint brushes, and you have the ability, dexterity to take it, you can see all of the tools that are needed, physical ability plus the tools, and we put an experienced artist and we put you, a non-artist, and we give you two images to paint. Physically, you can do it. You can pick up the brush,
Right.
but the outcome will not be the same. And there's no shortcut to honing that skill. It may not be good. Well, it will not be good initially. You making those practice calls, or you having those discussions, mock sessions with your warm market. There's no shortcutting around putting the time to develop the skill.
I want to go back a little bit to first win, something that helps to build momentum for agents. For someone who might be listening who hasn't had that first win yet, what's one skill that they should focus on this week to, maybe move closer to that?
I would say it's the communication skill, and what I would offer as an activity, what they could do is, find a script that you can get from a member of your organization. Likely you can go online, and find a way to memorize that script. And persons have different techniques, right? Persons will read the script, they will recite it, say it out loud. Others will write it down, like when parents or teachers would punish back in the day, they would have you do lines.
Right.
But it's writing out the script numerous times, and it will commit it to memory, right? Do that. Then find 3 people who would be willing to hear you. And they could be your pretend client lead.
Right.
And go 3-4 times with each person and have them give you feedback after each. And that simple activity in itself is helping you get over those uncomfortable feelings, but it's also starting to build the skill of communicating and sharing something with someone so that they can see the value in what you're offering, believe in you, so that you can then help them protect their families.
Practice is key, it seems. So we typically end like this. I think it's a good way to kind of summarize, give that main point. If you had to summarize all that we've talked about today, the key takeaway, what would that be for you?
There is no shortcut to getting to be proficient outside of doing the hard work. Right? Now, there are some ways that you can be more efficient if you have someone who is there to provide feedback. Right? If you try to fix it all on your own, it's going to take longer, right? There are individuals who have gone through this, know it, and if you can connect with them, certainly helpful. If you have a tool like Trafnax, right, you can practice, and get better faster. In addition to the practice that I mentioned, is the feedback. You need the feedback. So for me, it's don't think you are going to get good without doing the work. Yeah. And it does take time. It takes time for the neurons to be wired in a way so that this thing becomes, second nature. And there's no way around it other than doing it over and over and over.
Yeah, I think that's such a great, powerful reminder. And I would say, remembering, with feedback to not take it personally. Next time, we are going to zoom in on one of the toughest parts of this business, picking up the phone. We'll talk about fear, rejection, and the small actions that help agents build consistency through calling. You won't want to miss it. We will see you then.